We are at training camp. I always get hype about training camp. I always get hype about training camp. You know what my problem is? I always get hype about training camp. It's Welcome to Fifth Down Football Podcast. How you guys doing today? This episode is gonna be a little bit about training camp, a little about the fourth episode of Hard Knocks. I might have the label wrong, but we're gonna go with it because I'm still learning new to this stuff. Anyway, had a day. Read all the training camp highlights. I'm just gonna get right to it because you know what I want to talk about. Evan Neal came on a pup list. All right, cool. Jermaine's supposed to step in, even better, right? Right tackle. Evan's got to prove it. And then, as the Giants way, Jermaine gets elbowed in the ribs. I thought he got hit in the nuts. I don't know. Training card comes out. Your boy's upset, right? We can't have nice things in Giants world, apparently. We can't have nice things at all. So now Evan Neal technically got his job back, even though he's not hurt. So I'm just going to hope and pray Jermaine Illuminor is fine. Please be fine, because I don't want to deal with this season. Then we're going to talk about the offense and the defense. It was nice to see everybody's Twitter stuff. I appreciate all the content creators. It's the only way I can get my information right now. Had to work. One day I'll make my way up to training camp, but it ain't going to be today. And I appreciate all the hard work you guys put in getting those highlights out. But you guys could have not posted that today at all. Offense was terrible, apparently. We're dinking and dunking again. Daniel Jones can't dink and dunk, overthrows a screen. Again, I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to overreact. I keep saying that. It's training camp, right? You're installing new things. It's the first day. It's not like they had OTAs together and were practicing things. And, they didn't have pads on today at all either. They just, I don't know what happened. But remember I talked about last episode. We're not going to get hype about training camp at all. It's training camp, right? It is what it is. That's what we say, right? It's we're not gonna dwell on it too much, but I want to talk about it a little bit. This is a nice touchdown from Drew Lock, Mr. Deep Ball Thrower, number 3, who's I think there's a bet going around if he's going to be the starting quarterback of the Giants. But the way Daniel Jones played today in training camp, he might be. I think he was. I have to pull up the stats again, but I think he was like 7 for 11 or something. But the last 3 passes were like 3-yard dump offs that don't count. Pocket was collapsing around him, all types of crazy stuff. I think Jermaine was the only one that got hurt today. I don't know. Somebody quote me on that or let me know if I'm wrong, but that's a blessing that it was the only injury today. But again, training camp has just started. So more to come, right? It's the Giants way. Training camp, everybody get out healthy? Absolutely not. Coach DeBall looks completely different. Lost a lot of weight. One day I'll be on that level and I can be cool like him. So I'm going to talk about, that was the training camp highlights, a whole 3 minutes. And I've decided that we're not going to talk about training camp anymore. We'll talk about preseason. Training camp's over. We're done with that. Remember, I told you again, my problem with hype training camp, I get hyped about training camp. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. That's it. I'm not going to do any more highlights about training camp unless something major happens. And then I might ignore it then too. So you might not hear about it from me. You might have to go to somebody else. So we're going to finish out Hard Knocks. And then I have a couple other things planned that we're going to do. But we're not talking about training camp anymore. We're done with that. We're over it. I'm not getting my feelings hurt anymore. They can't hurt me anymore. The Giants can't hurt me anymore. And in saying that, that's all the training camp highlights I got. I'm not talking about it anymore. That's it. A whole 5 minutes of training camp. But I do want to talk about Hard Knocks, which was an episode I really enjoyed. The wheeling and dealing and all that kind of stuff, even though we didn't get what we wanted. The one thing I got out of this, the main thing I got out of this is our GM, the Giants GM, Joe, is a regular dude trying to do his job, bro. I've never felt more connected to somebody that I'm not anywhere near at all, except for that one time when he's at his desk, and we've all been there, and he's like, oh, fuck. I've been at my desk like that, like late nights in the office, just like, I just want to get out of here, type things. And to see him act like that, the stress that's on this man to get everything right in this professional football world, I felt that, man. Like, he is just a regular dude trying to do his job. John Mark, he's bopping around, and all I can think about is in the office when you're like knee deep in something, and your boss just keeps peeping around and asking you what you're doing. It's like, bro, can you go away and let me do my job? I got this, all right? You hired me, you must trust me. So please get out of my office. I thought that was pretty funny. I did think it was a little weird. And again, this might be cut up. So I think every episode is a little bit played up, right? Like played up for the camera. Say, do this, I'll do that. The John Marsh is walking around talking to people. I mean, I guess he's supposed to do that because he's the owner, but he'll say something like with Brandon, he walk into his office and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like trying to get out of there. I'm like, "Bro, you walked into my office. Talk to me now, right?" You know. I really did like the scenario situation that they had showed the owners on the board. That was pretty cool. I did also like that John is, even though I said last time he has his tentacles and everything, always got to have that little last word. I like the fact that he gave Joe the say so. Hey, look, man, if you got the conviction, I don't want to do it, but you can do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I don't want to do it, but last time I let this happen, I was all in and it worked out, right? We had like 15 years at Eli, which I miss. It was good to see that even though he still wants what he wants, he let the other guys kind of do their job and have their way. I thought it was interesting with the Patriots. I mean, I feel like a lot of people said that when Joe called, they act like he didn't try very hard, but they have already made up their mind clearly, and he was just called to check in. So I don't blame him for not being like pushy, like hey, like come on, man, let's work a deal out. The second thing about that too is what they were asking for. Again, just like what I said about the Saquon Barkley thing, they're not in a position to be giving up anything. They're not one piece away, and to get that quarterback and then set themselves back. Because if you think about it, they wouldn't have had Malik. They would have had their quarterback. They would have probably gave up a third. Would have gave up the second for Brian Burns. They would have had to give up. They would have had to give up a lot. Then whatever they had to give up next year to, they wouldn't have been able to build around their quarterback. The cap space is all jacked up, which I still haven't looked up yet. I need to look that up. Their cap space is all jacked up still. So you would have a rookie quarterback back there in a terrible situation again, right? So I get it. I'm happy that they didn't. He didn't go through with it. That blockbuster trade. I figure we had like a few more pieces. We were like that one hit away from like just get Daniel Jones out of here because all these playmakers are here all trying to win. I would have been okay with it, but the fact that the Giants need so much stuff right now is like, man, you can't give up that much capital if you still need to fill all these positions. They haven't. I don't think we have studs at every position to be giving up pick that many picks. Again, if it was for Caleb Williams, I mean, we could have another discussion about that. Like, if it's Caleb, maybe you give up that kind of thing because he's gonna be around for a long time. You can kind of like ride him into the ground, and you could have Caleb Williams, right? That's great. But for Drake May or Jaden Daniels, who don't get me wrong, I'm high on both. I like them both. Like they both have qualities that I really really like. I'm a fan of both, but to give up that many assets for one of those two, I probably wasn't too convinced either. So I guess we got to roll with Daniel and my best Brian Daywall face because I know everybody's sick of that. So I hope Dale, balls drop this season and he decides he wants to ball out all of a sudden. I don't see it. I just hope he does, and I hope the team around him helps him because this man is definitely, if he didn't need help before, he really gonna need help now. So we're gonna see what he made of, right? You make all that money, bro. We're gonna see what you made of because I know you're not giving it back. I don't care what Michael Lombardi says. You know you're not giving it back. So we'll see what he does out there, man. And the fact that Joe goes with Daniels like, look, man, don't be surprised there's another quarterback in here. I like that. That's a straight up I need. Don't be surprised if there's another quarterback in here. I know Daniel's like, what the? But you have to know, right? You have to know you're doing bad at your job. Like, I'm sure that Daniel Jones has definitely been written up at work before for terrible performance. His performance review out of 5, this man's getting a 1. The only reason he's not fired because he signed that contract and he still might be gone. The other thing that was interesting too, a lot of people probably picked up on, and I know Giants Twitter. If you guys aren't on Giants Twitter, you need to get on. That's a crazy place. There's a lot of people saying that Joe was trying to trade up to get a tackle, Joe Alt. That was completely untrue. The scenarios were great. He was quarterback or bust, but we all knew, right? By that point, we all knew that we're not getting a quarterback. One, two, three. And so what I like to say is that he pivoted in the heat of the moment. He pivoted, which is great. And it's like, hey, let me get a skill player, which I was hoping for as well. I think I have a video clip of that somewhere of me saying, look, the quarterbacks go, you can't trade up. Just take a skill player, bro. And I was all good on all three of the wide receivers that were on the board. And that was amazing that the Giants got all three of them in the building at the same time. That was cool as I don't know what. I mean, like, what does it matter, right? They got all three in a room at the same time. Well, it's just cool, like, right? It doesn't matter. They're not really competing with each other. It was just cool to see all the top three wide receivers in the room at the same time. It would have been cool if they got all the quarterbacks in there, too. But they got him in there all separate, and that was kind of cool to see how that goes. Again, I think it was a little bit showmanship for Hard Knocks. Of course, there was a lot of showmanship. I don't want to get too caught up in the funk of the showmanship of the show, right? Because there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure got edited and cut, and hey guys, can you sit down and do this for the cameras? All that good stuff. So that's kind of funny to keep that in mind. That it's a lot of showmanship. So while I was watching it with the wife, I was just like, some of this stuff looks set up and looks fake, obviously for the cameras, right? You got to do it. And nobody does this thing. She was like, "How did John Maher have this vest on? Is it the same day?" And I was like, "I guess it's the same day. Like he's walking around the building. I guess he's nervous. It's draft night. It's the same day." And it's nice to see like the whole team kind of get excited for draft night as much as we do. I do. I spend my whole day like, oh, what kind of crazy stuff is gonna happen? And that's not just the Giants. Like I see other teams too. Like I didn't want Washington to get Jane Downs, but we'll get into the other teams later. But we're not gonna talk about them right now, and I'll talk about them later. But it was really cool to see all that go down. And then Joe's like calling every GM, see if he can make a deal. Like who wants to move down? Who wants to move up? And it just wasn't a draft for that, which is crazy. Everybody kind of fell to where they wanted to, except for the Atlanta Falcons and their wild pick. I don't know, but we're not going to talk about that right now either. Again, I'll bring a segment around for talking about other teams, but I don't think he mentioned them wanting to trade. I think they were sitting and they were going to make their pick, but other teams wanted to kind of move around, but it wasn't very far, so it was like, what the point? Like, Cardinals weren't giving up that spot. They obviously wanted Marvin Harrison. It was nice to see the conviction of the Giants wide receiver coach saying he wanted Neighbors. Everybody liked Neighbors. I feel like when I watched that, Neighbors was like real quiet, right? Rome was like talking, kind of chatty, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. he was definitely explaining stuff, but I don't know. Malik was in the zone. I guess that's his thing. And as long as we get a dog, we haven't had a dog since Odell. I'm cool with it, right? Like that's what we need in the building. So if he's quiet during team meetings and he was on the field doing this thing, then I'm okay with that. Like that's what the Giants kind of need, right? Like they need the oomph on offense, and hopefully it makes the other wide receivers better too. Like everybody's they're gonna be so focused on Neighbors. Maybe we'll get a deep ball to Hyatt this year. Maybe we'll see a deep ball touchdown to Hyatt. Maybe we'll see Slayton ball out. He's not gonna be the number one anymore. He'll be a solid number two, and whoever is going against him is going to like screwed, right? Like hopefully everybody can stay healthy. Hopefully he doesn't have any drops, even though he's been getting better with that. Like, hopefully the team like gels with these new additions that I think have been great. Am I still worried about the O-line? Even after watching that, I'm still worried about the O-line. I know they had these players that they bought in. It was great. It was nice to see the Brian Burns trade go down. I wish we could have saw more of Joe talking to his agent. That would have been really, really cool. Like, hey, we're about to trade for him. How much money you want? But obviously we saw what the deal was. But I wonder how much back and forth went into that about getting Brian his money. I'm excited about that. We haven't had good pass rushing. We haven't had a good team in a long time, so I don't even know what I'm saying, right? Good pass rush, good nothing. Like I miss the OC Tuck straight hand days when we had really good pass rush and you just swap them out, NASCAR package and all that stuff. So maybe we'll get back to that, right? We got 3 good pass rushes and an unstoppable nose tackle. So I really like the Brian Burns trade. I really did like that. So I'm happy he did that. I just hope that this man doesn't get too stressed out about his job. Joe, you just got to do what you got to do, and the best you can. The NFL is just a fickle beast, bro. Just roll with the punches. Just don't turn into Dave Gettleman, and you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I have faith in you. You got this, man. You're doing a pretty good job for what you have. Because I would probably go crazy if my boss walked into my office all the time and asked me what I'm doing. But overall, I think it was an excellent episode. I'm looking forward to the last one, even though I feel like the last one is just gonna be. We know what the pick is, right? Like, what else? What else could it be? I guess them talking to other teams during draft night. Who wants to come up and down? They didn't move. Did we get any crazy trades draft night? I don't think we did. I don't think we did. So I don't know what they're gonna put in this episode. I don't. I have no idea. I don't know if it's gonna be like what they're gonna show, any of that. So it's gonna be. I guess we'll see how it goes. Like I don't know what they're gonna show for that last episode. Is that the last episode? I might be tripping right now. It might not be the last episode, but I still have no idea what they're gonna show since we're not getting any of the training camp stuff. And we're not getting any of the OTA stuff. So I don't know what they're gonna show, but that last episode that they that was some pretty cool access to see how it all goes down. I don't like how Joe takes notes though. The little index card. I'm looking if I had one, but the little index cards he's writing notes on. It was cute asking his kids like what they thought, and his son is on it. You gotta win. You gotta do what you gotta do. But I guess you can't sell everything to get what you need because then we won't have no team. We'll just have a quarterback and nothing around him, kind of like Daniel all over again. But man, I hope everything's gonna work out for this team. And again, I'm not mentioning training camp anymore. I just wanted to cover a little bit of Hard Knocks. I'll probably come out with another video next week, something a little different. Again, we're not talking about Hard Knocks anymore. That's it. We're done. Sorry the episode's so short, but it wasn't much because I wasn't going to go to training camp anymore because we're over that. And I just wanted to cover Hard Knocks a little bit. The next episode might be a little bit longer, considering what I'm about to start going over here in a second since we're not doing training camp. And I appreciate you guys listening as usual. And please give me the constructive criticism. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and a great night. And I will talk to you in a couple days, I guess. All right. Peace out. Fifth Down Football Podcast.